a way to get an initial assessment of their overall health. I started at his head, my movements slow and gentle, trying to keep him relaxed. Everything was going smoothly. Pippin was a model patient, but just as I was about to flip him over to check his private parts, my tote bag on the counter rustled, a flash of golden fur shot out. Before I could even process what was happening, Pippin was on the receiving end of a swift, well-aimed swat to the face. He froze on the exam table, a look of pure, unadulterated shock on his whiskered face. I stared at the tiny, fluffed-up cat standing protectively in front of me, my own eyes wide. George, what are you doing here? I'd named him George the night before. He was curled up beside my pillow, and the more I looked at his small, determined face, the more I adored him. I'd scooped him up and buried my face in his fur, making silly cooing sounds. When I finally pulled back, he seemed stunned, his eyes slightly wide and unfocused. Should I call you Goldie? I'd asked. He'd let out a protesting growl and wriggled free, turning his back to me in a clear display of feline indignation. Butterball, Mrel, pudding, Mrel. It was a low, guttural sound of pure displeasure. I scratched my head, finding the whole situation absurdly funny. Maeve, you're losing your mind. You're negotiating a name with a cat, but my mouth was faster than my brain. How about George? It's a strong name. Regal, Mrel. He turned back to face me, his eyes bright and alert. He even nudged my hand with his head, a soft, ticklish brush. He approved. We had an agreement. I'd snuggled down with George in my arms and fallen into a deep sleep. I hadn't even noticed the weight on my arm growing steadily heavier through the night. Somehow, George had stowed away in my bag, and now he was standing on the exam table like a tiny, furious sentinel, his fur bristling, a low growl rumbling in his chest. Pippin, meanwhile, had retreated to the far corner of the table. Trembling, Owen and I each scooped up a cat, trying to de-escalate the situation, but Pippin seemed traumatized. He clung to Owen's arms, shaking uncontrollably. Owen took a step back, putting more distance between us. Before he spoke, well, let's just conclude the practical for today. We'll be in touch about the results of your interview. I knew it was over. With George's little stunt, my chances were zero. Back in my apartment, I opened my laptop and started firing off more applications. A small, furry head nudged its way under my arm, its owner staring intently at the screen. The scene was so comical I couldn't help but flick his ear gently. Can you even read? He let out a soft whimper and burrowed his way onto my lap. It was then I noticed that the bandages from the vet were gone, not just unraveled, but completely gone, and the angry-looking wounds from the day before, they were almost completely healed, leaving only faint pink lines. George, your healing ability is incredible. I picked him up, overjoyed, and spun around in a little circle. I'm going to try even harder to find a job, I promise. I'll take good care of you. That night, George's eyes remained fixed on my laptop screen where my resume was displayed. He seemed to be deep in thought. The next morning, I was jolted awake by my phone ringing. Hello, is this Maeve Connolly? Yes, this is Whisperwind Wildlife Sanctuary. We've received your application and we're very impressed with your qualifications. We'd like to invite you for an interview today at 2 p.m. The details have been sent to your email. Oh, okay. I sat bolt upright in bed, my mind reeling. Whisperwind Wildlife Sanctuary. I never applied there. It was the largest, most prestigious wildlife preserve in the state. The pay was rumored to be astronomical, with benefits that sounded like something out of a fairy tale. Quasi-governmental perks, weekends off, no overtime, comprehensive insurance, and generous paid time off. You got to work up close with incredible animals. It was, quite literally, my dream job, but they hadn't had a public job opening in years. I'd checked their website religiously. No openings. Was this a prank call? I scrambled out of bed and flipped open my laptop. An email from Whisperwind sat in my inbox, gleaming like a winning lottery ticket. It was real. When had I sent them my resume? There was no time to figure it out. I showered, dressed, and put on makeup, determined to look my best. It wasn't until I was heading out the door that I noticed something odd. George was nowhere to be found. The entire interview felt like a dream. A strikingly solid figure, a pair of strong hands gripped my elbows, steadying me.